Discover life-changing secrets in 2025, 7 touching truths that will transform your future forever. Jamie stood in the kitchen, the aroma of fresh-baked pies wafting in from neighbors' homes, hinting at the upcoming community festival. Mia and Lucas buzzed with excitement, their laughter making the corners of Jamie's heart tingle with warmth. Each day was a whirlwind of part-time jobs, school pickups, and family dinners, but the festival felt like a promise, a moment where the struggles faded, even if just for a weekend. Yet, as Jamie stirred a pot of soup, a shadow loomed. News hit like a sharp gust of wind. Jamie's aunt, their family's rock, was in the hospital. The tightness in Jamie's chest was a cruel reminder of how fragile life was. Memories flooded in storytelling sessions on the porch, warm hugs, and wise, comforting words. The thought of losing that light sent Jamie reeling, aching to hold on to everything that seemed to slip away. Mia tugged at Jamie's shirt, her innocent eyes wide. "Mom, are we still going to the festival?" Jamie forced a smile, though panic bubbled just beneath the surface. "Of course, sweetie," they reassured, yet doubt gnawed at Jamie's heart. Would they be able to celebrate when their whole world felt like it was crumbling? As the festival approached, Jamie rummaged through family keepsakes for comfort. There it was, a dusty old notebook filled with handwritten notes on 7 life-changing truths from the town's elders. Each yellowed page held wisdom gleaned through years of struggle, pain, and joy. "Community is family," it read, urging Jamie to reach out. With profound emotion, Jamie discovered these truths. Suddenly, every encounter felt charged with possibility. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue with each visit to the hospital. Jamie found solace in the community's support. Neighbors brought meals, offered babysitting, and lent fishing poles for a shared adventure with the kids. Laughter mixed with tears as Jamie felt the roots run deep. The festival became a symbol of collective resilience. But as joy swelled, the harsh realities of financial strain cast a gloomy shadow. Unexpected expenses forced Jamie to choose between caring for a sick family member and the promise of a better future. The day of the festival arrived, and with it, the electrifying energy of connection. But true faces emerged as the crowd whispered judgments, revealing underlying biases. Jamie stood at the center, heart racing, faced with the stark truth: would the community band together, or would fear tear them apart? In that charged moment, laughter faded. The warmth of the festival dimmed as the doubts flooded in. Had Jamie's journey been for naught? Was the promise of belonging a cruel illusion? These questions lingered in the air, heavy and unsettling. As Jamie looked at the faces of familiar neighbors, uncertainty sparked within. Would their realization lead to a transformation? Or would Jamie have to carry the weight of isolation even amid a crowd? The festival's music felt like a distant memory as they stood at a precipice, contemplating the ideals of community and the true meaning of family. Jamie stood there, the sounds of the festival swirling around them, a cacophony of laughter, music, and chatter, yet feeling strikingly alone. The vibrant colors of decorations draped over booths and stalls seemed to mock the knot of anxiety tightening in Jamie's chest. Mia and Lucas darted off to join their friends, leaving Jamie to navigate the sea of faces, some friendly, others distant. Each smile felt like a reminder of what they feared might slip away. The first few steps took Jamie over to a local artist painting faces. A mixture of paint and joy danced in the air, and for a moment, Jamie was swept up in the sight of small children giggling, their cheeks transformed into butterflies and tigers. Watching Mia giggle next to her friend brought a flicker of warmth, but it was short-lived. Thoughts of their aunt lingered like a shadow, undercutting the festivity. Jamie felt the weight of the world in that fleeting moment. Then, through the laughter, a familiar voice broke through. Jamie. Hey, over here. It was Clara, an old friend and fellow organizer of the festival, waving enthusiastically. Jamie's heart sank a little more. While it was wonderful to see Clara, the usual warmth between them felt strained, like a handshake from a stranger. "How are you holding up?" Clara asked, her eyes reflecting concern, or maybe pity. Trying to stay positive, Jamie replied, forcing a smile. The words felt hollow, a thin veneer over the reality they were grappling with. Clara gave Jamie a searching look, as if trying to pierce through the mask. "You know," Clara started softly, "I've been thinking about our town's motto. It's about pulling together. This festival it's supposed to be about support." Jamie nodded, but a lump formed in their throat. Support was a lovely idea, but it felt distant amidst the whispers they had heard before. The doubts that had arisen were louder in their mind than any festive cheer. Would people really come together? Or would they turn away, judging based on choices they never understood? Clara must have noticed Jamie's hesitation. "Just remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is reach out. People want to help. You're not alone in this." She squeezed Jamie's shoulder before hurrying off to check on another booth. Those words clung to Jamie. Maybe Clara was right. Maybe the festival was a chance not just for celebration, but for connection. With a shaky breath, they made a decision. Jamie turned away from the crowd, leaving behind the artful smiles and vibrant laughter, seeking the stillness of the park's edge, where the music faded but the heart of the matter remained. Eyes scanning the horizon towards the hospital, Jamie felt immense gratitude wash over them as they thought of the neighbors who had helped. Yet, there was still fear of judgment, fear of inadequacy, the fear of needing something they might never be brave enough to ask for. As dusk approached, painting the sky in hues of gold and indigo, Jamie made their way back into the crowd, heart beating a little faster, each step heavy with apprehension, but alongside that, an unexpected spark of hope. This could be the moment they boldly reached out, perhaps to find laughter mixed with tears, and a community ready to embrace them. At the festival's heart, Jamie spotted a group gathered around the fire pit, their neighbors, sharing stories, laughter bouncing off the flames. The thought of facing them, raw and vulnerable, sent Jamie's heart racing. But what if this was the opportunity to celebrate not just their strength but the strength of everyone together? Would they finally bridge the chasm of loneliness and uncertainty? Taking a deep breath, Jamie stepped toward the firelight, knowing they had one last chance to uncover the truth about community's power. Would that leap bring the belonging they craved, or would it push them further away? The fire's glow illuminated the faces around it, casting flickering shadows that danced like memories. Jamie hesitated at the edge, heart racing. There was laughter, warmth, a sense of togetherness. It was everything Jamie wanted but feared. Each face was familiar, yet the fear of judgment loomed large, like an uninvited guest at a party. Mia's laughter rang out, bright and carefree, pulling Jamie closer. Seeing her surrounded by friends, joyful and unworried, ignited a mixture of pride and sorrow. Jamie wished they could lose themselves in that joy, yet the heaviness in their chest felt like a chain. "Come on, Jamie." Clara's voice broke through the haze of Jamie's thoughts. She was back, her voice warm and inviting. "We're sharing our favorite festival moments. You should join us." Taking a deep breath, Jamie swallowed hard. The words reached out like a lifeline. Okay, they stepped forward, as if crossing an invisible barrier. The group's bright smiles welcomed them, but internally, Jamie wrestled with doubts. Would they hear the words Jamie wanted to say, or would their vulnerabilities sink into a sea of indifference? "Jamie, look. I just painted my arm like a superhero," Lucas exclaimed, arms raised, showcasing his colorful transformation. The group erupted into laughter, and Jamie felt a spark of that festivity lighting up the darkness around them. "What about you, Jamie?" Clara prompted gently, curiosity glimmering in her eyes. "What's been your favorite moment this year?" For a moment, Jamie's mind went blank. Nothing felt worthy to share. How could they talk about favorite moments when the shadow of pain pressed so heavily? Yet, Clara's hopeful gaze ignited a flicker of courage in Jamie's heart. I think my favorite moment is right here, right now, Jamie said, voice stronger than they expected. The laughter faded slightly, replaced by attentive silence. Being with all of you, even if it's hard to admit I need support, the words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered. It's more than I expected. It gives me hope. The tension eased slightly in the circle. There was a spark of understanding in their eyes. A nod here, a soft smile there. The warmth of acceptance replaced some of the fears that had spiraled in Jamie's mind. Jamie, we all need support, Mia chimed in, her voice lilting with sincerity. It's okay to lean on those who care about you. She stepped closer, wrapping an arm around Jamie. But what if they don't understand? What if Jamie started, doubt creeping in again? Then we help them understand, Clara replied, her eyes steady and reassuring. That's what community is about. We may not all have the same journey, but we can walk alongside each other. Hearing those words, Jamie felt a weight lift. This festival, this gathering, it was more than laughter and fun. It was a tapestry woven from various experiences, from sorrow to joy, and every stitch mattered. With newfound courage, Jamie asked, can we share stories of what we've faced this year? I think it might help to talk about it. The invitation hung in the air, a delicate thread connecting hearts surrounded by the crackling fire. Nods and murmurs of agreement spread through the group. One by one, stories began to flow, moments of loss, of triumph, of trials and triumphs that bound them closer. As Jamie shared their own tale, vulnerability woven into each word, they felt the warmth wrap around them tighter, like a loving embrace from the community they had longed for. Under the starry sky, surrounded by firelight and acceptance, Jamie realized that the walls they had built could crumble. As laughter mixed with tears flowed, it was clear that honesty kindled real connection. Yet, deep down, Jamie sensed that there was still more to uncover, more truths waiting to be shared, and deeper bonds yet to form. What else would emerge from this gathering? And could this truly be the beginning of healing? As the evening unfolded, the crackling fire became the heart of the gathering, pulsing with stories and shared emotions. Jamie held on to the warmth enveloping them. Each voice that rose was like an echo, resonating with memories untold. With every revelation, Jamie's doubts began to wane, replaced by a fragile but growing sense of belonging. I remember the first festival I attended, Mia began, her voice soft as she gazed into the flames. I was so nervous, thinking everyone would see right through me. But when I joined a circle just like this, I discovered I wasn't alone. Another friend, Leo, leaned forward, eyes shining, seemingly captivated by Mia's words. You know what? That's how I felt at last year's festival too. It was only after I shared that I was dealing with anxiety that I realized how many of us were in the same boat. It was liberating. Jamie listened intently, feeling the threads of courage slowly weaving into their own heart. It was surreal to witness the depth behind each smile, the battles concealed behind each laugh. This gathering felt less like a mere celebration and more like a collective healing in progress. Tears brimmed in Jamie's eyes as they wrestled with a profound realization. Perhaps letting go of their fears and sharing their struggles might not just lighten their own burden, but also lighten others. Can I add something? Jamie's voice trembled but was steady enough to carry through the clamor of voices. The group turned with anticipation. I've kept things bottled up for so long. You all talk about your challenges, and it feels so brave. I think I've been hiding to protect myself. Because what if everyone saw the real me and didn't like what they found? Silence hung momentarily, only punctuated by the gentle rustle of leaves and the crackling of the fire. Clara stepped closer and glanced at Jamie, her expression softening. Jamie, the real you is already here in this circle. Just like our stories are all different, so are we. Vulnerability is strength, it's what connects us. Mia added, you've opened the door for us to be honest too, and that's courageous. A wave of emotions surged within Jamie, a mixture of gratitude and fear. What if they revealed too much? Would the world tilt beneath their feet? Yet, A burning desire to share those truths sparked within them, more potent than any anxiety. I faced some dark times this year, Jamie recounted, the words spilling forth with emotional clarity. There were days when getting out of bed felt impossible. I felt like I was drowning in my thoughts. The group shifted, their attentiveness deepening. This was the moment Jamie had been both longing for and fearing a chance to bare their soul, to claim their place among friends. But then I found you all. Jamie gestured around the circle, feeling a quirky sense of safety. Being here, with this laughter and sharing, I've realized there's so much power in community. It's like I'm beginning to breathe again. A soft round of applause broke out, but it felt more like a warm embrace than mere recognition. Jamie's heart swelled at the acknowledgement. The night pressed on, with more stories swirling in the air, being sewn into a shared quilt of resilience. Jamie began to feel lighter, buoyed by a connection that transcended their fears, yet, just as momentum surged, a distant sound interrupted their camaraderie, a sudden rustle in the nearby bushes. The group froze, tension snapping through the atmosphere like a live wire. What was that? Lucas whispered, eyes darting toward the noise. Shadows shifted, and for a brief moment, hearts raced, uncertainty clouding the warmth. As everyone turned towards the source, Jamie's pulse quickened. The festival felt like a safe haven, but now it seemed threatened by an unseen force. Would this night of healing take an unexpected turn? What truths lay hidden around these flickering flames? The rustling grew louder, sending a shiver down Jamie's spine. Shadows danced among the trees, creating eerie forms that flickered in the firelight. The laughter and warmth that had filled the air a moment ago felt like a distant memory, swept away by an undercurrent of hesitation. What if it's just a rabbit? Mia suggested, forcing a nervous laugh. But even her voice wavered, a thin veneer of bravado masking the uncertainty that gripped them all. Yeah, or maybe a deer, Leo added, his grin faltering as he scanned the darkness. The tension felt palpable, a thick fog that muted their comfort. Clara shifted closer to Jamie, her presence both reassuring and electrifying. Wouldn't he be the worst thing, she murmured, though her eyes betrayed her true feelings. Jamie took a deep breath, willing courage to rise within them again. Just as Jamie was about to speak, a figure emerged from the darkness. The group collectively gasped, instincts kicking in as they leaned back, hands instinctively ready to shield themselves. Jack. Clara's voice rose in incredulity as she recognized the newcomer. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Jack waved sheepishly, showing up like a mirage against the night's backdrop. I thought I'd swing by after dinner. Didn't he mean to startle anyone? The collective release of breath was almost comical. Relief flooded through Jamie, but it was swiftly followed by a mix of annoyance and surprise. Jack was the friend who had pulled away someone who had silently struggled in his own way. Why had he chosen now to appear? Why didn't you tell us you were coming? Mia asked. We could saved you some food. Jack shrugged, scratching at the back of his neck. I wasn't sure if you all wanted me here. I've been out of the loop. He stepped closer to the fire, eyes sweeping over their familiar faces. Jamie felt the warmth of the flames again but could sense that Jack's arrival had somehow shifted the atmosphere. You know, Jamie ventured cautiously, we just shared some pretty personal stuff. Maybe it would help if you shared too. You don't have to feel left out. Yeah, Jack, Leo chimed in. Today is all about opening up, right? The eyes of the group turned to Jack, and for a heartbeat, the night held its breath. Jamie could see the hesitation etched on his face. He looked around, a mix of longing and hurt flashing through his features. I don't know, he began, the vulnerability in his voice sharpened by the crisp night air. Things have been hard. I thought I'd just give you guys space. Space doesn't help anyone, Clara whispered, the sincerity guiding her tone. Being alone doesn't solve anything. It only makes it worse. What if Jack allowed himself to be seen? Jamie's heart raced with a bittersweet hope. Jack glanced down at the ground, the tension of unspoken words hanging over him. I lost my job a couple of months ago. And I didn't know how to tell you guys. I didn't want to be a burden. The collective gasp echoed again, and Jamie felt an ache for Jack surge within them. Here was someone who had silently carried a weight that mirrored their own struggles to belong, to be accepted. Jack, you could never be a burden, Leo said softly. We're here for each other. That's what this is all about. For a moment, Jack looked up, eyes shimmering in the firelight. The raw honesty shared in the circle before felt like a torch, encouraging him to step closer into the flame's warmth. As he began to open up about his feelings of inadequacy and loss, Jamie couldn't help but marvel at the connections blossoming in front of them. Maybe the rustling bushes were not just a source of fear, but a gateway to uncovering deeper truths beneath the surface. Yet, just as the conversation began to unfold, a loud crash echoed from the other side of the clearing, shattering the moment. Everyone's head snapped towards the noise, hearts pounding once again. Did you hear that? Clara's wide eyes searched the shadows, the weight of sudden panic dropping heavily over them. What lay behind the veil of dark trees? Would the night reveal secrets they were meant to uncover, or would it conjure fears they never wanted to face? As the echo of the crash faded into the night, the fire crackled, casting flickering shadows that danced anxiously on the trees. Jamie's heart raced, their breath quickening as adrenaline surged. They exchanged wide-eyed glances, searching for answers in each other's expressions. Maybe it's just an animal, Jack suggested, his voice tight with uncertainty, but no one believed it. The warmth of camaraderie that had embraced them moments before was quickly replaced by a collective tension that felt heavy in the air. Let us find out, Leo said, his eagerness veiled with an edge of bravado. He stood and brushed dust from his jeans, but Jamie sensed the quiver in his hands. Wait. Mia said, her voice rising a notch. Maybe we should stay together. What if it's dangerous? Clara nudged closer to Jamie, and the warmth of her presence was a thin, fleeting comfort against an impending storm. It could be nothing, she whispered, but Jamie could hear the tremor in her voice. Before anyone could respond, a second crash rang out, louder this time, a visceral sound that jolted them all. Okay, but what if it's someone who needs help? Leo countered, trying to hold on to his initial courage. We can't just sit here. Jack, still tense, glanced over the shadows. I'm in, he said suddenly, stepping forward despite the uncertainty. That made Jamie's heart swell with admiration, but also dread. I'm going too, Jamie quickly asserted, a surge of resolve pushing them to join. They couldn't let their friends go off alone into whatever dread awaited in the darkness. Let us stick to the path, Clara murmured, her hand brushing against Jamie's arm, grounding them both together. With all eyes on one another, they formed a tight group, moving cautiously away from the comforting firelight and toward the dense thicket where the noise had come from. As they reached the edge of the clearing, invasive branches snagged at their clothes, the weight of darkness creeping in closer, the forest seemed alive, shadows whispering secrets and rustling leaves echoing their own anxious hearts. They moved in silence, the air thick with unspoken fears, each crunch of leaves underfoot amplifying the tension. Just as they rounded a particularly large oak, the darkness parted, revealing a small clearing illuminated by the moonlight. In the middle lay an upturned log, remnants of what looked like an old campfire scattered around it. But it was the figure hunched nearby that sent a rush of apprehension through the group. Who's there? Leo called out, his voice steadier than Jamie felt. The figure turned slowly, revealing a young woman with disheveled hair and wild eyes, encircled by a collection of discarded items, a few clothes, a water bottle, and the remnants of food. You shouldn't be here, she mumbled, trembling visibly. What happened? Jamie asked, stepping forward despite the tightening in their chest. The woman looked up, her gaze desperate and searching. They're coming, they'll find me. You must leave. Jamie felt a chill ripple through the night air, words unraveling the strange reality they stepped into. As the urgency in the woman's voice pierced through their initial fear, Jamie could see the reflections of dread mirrored in their friend's eyes. "What is happening?" Clara asked, voice barely above a whisper. Before the woman could answer, a distant sound echoed once more, a low growl that sent goosebumps cascading across Jamie's skin. "What is that?" Mia whimpered, stepping back but bumping into Leo, who was frozen in place. It was Jamie's turn to feel the swell of fear, yet also a flicker of something else, curiosity blending with the rising tension. They were teetering on the edge of the unknown, caught between wanting to flee and finding answers. As they stood there, paralyzed by fear yet bound by the need to know more, the growls began to echo again, closer, louder, filling the air with an unmistakable sense of purpose. What guarded the shadows? What truth awaited them in the unfolding mystery? Would they leave this forest with more than just answers? Jamie's heartbeat drummed in their ears, each thump echoing the growls creeping closer. The young woman's wide eyes flickered with a mix of fear and urgency, and Jamie could almost feel the air shift with the tension surrounding them. "Who's coming?" Jamie pressed, desperately seeking clarity among the chaos. The woman inhaled sharply, her voice trembling. "You need to go now. They won't be far behind." "You can't," she paused, taking a shaky breath. "You can't help me anymore. Run." But how could they leave her? The thought clashed violently with their need to protect their friends. Jamie's determination flickered like the distant firelight behind them, mixing with dread. "What is happening?" Jack asked, his voice strained as the growls grew louder, rasping like claws scraping against stone. I didn't mean to intrude," the woman stammered, her fingers twisting nervously in her hair. "They're hunting. They smell fear." Mia took a step back, eyes darting left and right, sensing an invisible predator. "We need to disappear," she whispered, terror etching her features. Leo scoffed, but the bravado was cracking. "We can't just leave her." He glanced at the woman, then back to the dark circle of trees around them. "If it's dangerous, Before he could finish, another thundering crash echoed through the trees. It wasn't just growls now, it felt as if the whole forest was alive with it, breathing down their necks. Jamie's breath caught, their instincts sharpening. "Let us get her to safety," Jamie urged, stepping forward. "We can't leave her here. Not like this." Clara's hand tightened around Jamie's arm. "What do we do?" "Turn your backs to the firelight," Jamie instructed, urgency filling their voice. "If there is something out there, we can't let it see us." Slowly, they shifted, forming a protective barrier around the woman. The shadows swallowed them whole as they crouched down, trying to become one with the darkness. A figure burst into the clearing, lunging through the branches. The breath caught in Jamie's throat. Was it monster, or animal? It was larger and more imposing than anything they had seen, a creature wreathed in twilight. It circled, sniffing the air. The woman's eyes were pleading, yet there was a fierce intensity in her gaze, as if she was holding back a storm. "Stay quiet. Please. Don't move." Mia clamped a hand over her mouth, eyes wide as the creature prowled closer, muscles tensed like a coiled spring. Suddenly, it stopped, snout in the air, and for a horrifying moment, Jamie thought it had caught their scent. But then something in the beast's eyes shifted. Recognition. Curiosity. Without thinking, Jamie slowly reached out their hand, a small offering of peace. "We aren't here to hurt you." Their voice was steady, though inside, panic threatened to overtake them. "I don't think that's going to work," Clara whispered, her pulse racing. Yet Jamie sensed a shift in the air, a strange connection breaching the gulf between predator and prey. The creature's growls softened, almost confused. "Whatever you do, don't provoke it," Jack warned. "We don't even know what it is." Just then, a second shape emerged from the shadows, moving gracefully alongside the first. Was there more than one? Jamie squeezed their eyes shut, wishing desperately they could take control of this lost moment. The woman suddenly stood, her voice breaking the spell. "They're not here to harm us, but we must go." With those words pulling them from the brink, they turned to run, hearts pounding as they finally broke free from the grasp of dark woods. But what truths awaited them beyond the shadows? Would they find more than just answers waiting for them? Or was there something far more terrifying that had yet to reveal itself? The moon hung high, its light filtering through the canopy, guiding their escape. Jamie's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they sprinted, the sound of their friends' breaths mingling with the distant growls receding behind them. The woman had made it clear danger was still lurking, so speed was their ally. Which way? Mia shouted, her voice strained and breathless. Her face was pale, but there was a fire in her eyes. This way. Jamie pointed, skirting around a gnarled tree. They trusted their instincts now, the same instincts that had been ignited by fear but were now tempered by hope. Clara stumbled, nearly falling as she pushed herself harder. We can't just run forever. We need a plan. Leave the planning for later. Jack snapped, his eyes darting around as if expecting the creatures to leap out at any moment. Let us focus on getting to safety. As they raced through the thickets, Jamie couldn't shake off the nagging worry about the woman. What would happen to her? They shook their head, forcing the lingering thoughts away. Focusing on the present felt paramount now. Suddenly, they burst into a small clearing. It was littered with fallen leaves and framed by tall grasses swaying gently in the breeze. But once again, the feeling that they were being watched swept over Jamie like a chilling wave. Stop for a second. Jamie called, panting, glancing back. The growls had faded, but they still couldn't dismiss the terror lurking in their minds. They huddled together, breathless, the tension palpable. What if they come after us? Mia whispered, her eyes wide under the moonlight. What if they follow us? The woman's words echoed in Jamie's mind, they smell fear. We can't be scared, Jamie said, trying to muster the strength in their voice. We have to figure out what is going on. Leo took a step forward, exuding reluctant bravery. Why was she so sure they wouldn't hurt us? It's not like we've got comfort around here. Because she felt something, maybe something we don't understand yet. Jamie found themselves speaking slowly, piecing together the surreal moments they shared. She believed they'd recognize us, not as threats. As the weight of their situation sunk in, Jamie realized this could be a turning point. They felt their pulse steady, and the knot of fear in their stomach lessened slightly. Perhaps they had a chance to decipher this unknown mystery together. Let us head back to the road, Clara suggested, her voice just above a whisper. If we can get back to town, we can find help. What if we aren't alone? Jack interjected, scanning the tree line. What if those things already know we are here? Then we'll have to face them, Mia said defiantly, her hands balled into fists. I'm not running from shadows. The group rallied, determination replacing trepidation. They decided to split into pairs, ready to scout and find a safe route home. Jamie found themselves with Clara, the two of them navigating the moonlit maze of trees. Do you think we'll ever understand what we just saw? Clara asked, her voice trembling, but her gaze steady. I don't know, Jamie admitted. But whatever it is, it's bigger than us. We'll have to dig deeper and fast. As they moved, a soft rustle came from behind. Jamie turned. Never did they expect to see the two shadowy figures lingering at the edge of the clearing, waiting. What now? Jamie whispered, their heart thudding once again. The figures stepped into the light, revealing familiar features. They weren't monsters after all, but two people from town mysteriously missing for weeks. What are you doing here? Clara exclaimed, shock mixing with confusion. But instead of answers, the two looked at Jamie with wide, pleading eyes. Help us, one of them whispered, their voice trembling with urgency. It's not what you think. What didn't they think? Was there an even deeper truth behind their sudden return? The air felt electric with uncertainty. Jamie's heart raced as the two familiar faces lingered at the edge of the clearing. Doubt clawed at their mind, each heartbeat echoing the question: what was happening? Help us, the other voice trembled, desperation etched in every word. They stepped forward, revealing their identities, Ethan and Lila, friends who had disappeared weeks ago, leaving a void in their lives. A moment ago, Jamie was scared of the unknown. Now, they were faced with a truth they never expected. Ethan? Lila? Clara's voice trembled with disbelief. You've been gone for so long. What happened? Ethan glanced nervously over his shoulder as if expecting something to come crashing through the trees. We don't have a lot of time. You have to listen to us. It's dangerous out here, and what we saw, it's not what you think. The urgency in his voice seemed to pull at something deep inside Jamie, a need to understand, to find answers. Yet fear loomed over them like a heavy fog. What do you mean? Jamie asked, stepping closer, their voice trembling. Those creatures, they're not just monsters. They're connected to this place. There's a reason we were taken, Lila spoke, her eyes wide and glimmering in the moonlight. We learned things that could change everything. You have to trust us. Mia rolled her eyes, clearly struggling between skepticism and the hope that ignited like a candle. And what was that? A secret summer camp? Because last time I checked, what you're saying sounds insane. Insane or not, this is our reality, Ethan replied sharply. We need to find the source. They need us to do it. That's why they pulled us in. You have to help us finish what we started. The tension crackled. Jamie felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on their shoulders. Finish what? They held Lila's gaze, searching for any flicker of reassurance. The barrier, Lila whispered, her voice a thread of fear and determination. It keeps the darkness at bay, but something has weakened it. We're running out of time before it collapses completely. Jack stepped closer, caught up in the gravity of their words. And how does that involve us? Ethan nodded towards the forest, his hands shaking. You all have a connection to this place. The woman in the woods, she was right. You're not threats to them. You're part of it. Part of what? Jamie pressed, panic and curiosity blended in their chest. As the two shared a look, they stepped back into the shadows, beckoning the group to follow. Clara instinctively grasped Jamie's arm. This feels wrong, but what if they're telling the truth? The decision weighed heavily in the air. Jamie's heart raced. Another chance to reclaim their friends could unravel deeper secrets intertwining their lives with the creatures, but at what cost? Let us move then, Mia finally said, her voice steady, trying to hide the waver. If there's even a slight chance, we can't leave them. With a deep breath, Jamie squared their shoulders, the hazy mist of fear melting away just a touch. Let us figure this out together, then. As they ventured deeper into the woods, following the shadows that flickered to life among the trees, Jamie's heart raced, knowing they were crossing over into something unknown. This could lead them to the truth or toward unimaginable danger. What secrets lay hidden in the darkness? What awaited them at the center of the storm? With each step, the tension coiled tighter, an electrifying crescendo promising that the next revelation would change everything. Jamie stood at the edge of the forest, the cool night air thick with tension and unspoken fears. The flicker of the festival's bonfire faded behind them, replaced by the rustling shadows of uncertainty. With Ethan and Lila guiding them deeper into the dark, Jamie's heart raced not just from the adrenaline, but from the hope that surged within. As they ventured further, moonlight spilled through the branches, illuminating a hidden path that twisted like a ribbon through the trees. Each step felt like a leap into the unknown, but this time, Jamie embraced it. They weren't alone, they had their friends by their side. They could feel the weight of their shared journey, the bonds of friendship growing stronger with every heartbeat. Over there. Lila whispered urgently, pointing towards an ancient tree with gnarled roots. Something shimmered at its base, a faint, glowing light that pulsed like a heartbeat. That's where it begins. The barrier. What exactly do we need to do? Mia asked, her voice low but filled with determination. Ethan stepped forward, his brow furrowed. We need to concentrate our energy, our connections. This place is woven into who we are, and together we can strengthen it. Jamie nodded, understanding blooming within them. This was more than just a fight against fear, it was about embracing their roots, their community, and their shared history. We've been running from shadows, but maybe we also need to accept the darkness. It's part of us, Jamie said, their voice steady despite the uncertainty clawing at their chest. Let us show them we're not afraid. Mia, Lucas, Clara, and Jack gathered close, forming a circle around the tree. Jamie felt the warmth of their friend's presence, knitting them together into a brave tapestry of hope. We can do this. We're stronger together, Jamie whispered, grounding them in that thought. As they focused on the light, hands clasped tightly, Jamie closed their eyes and remembered the laughter of their children, the solace of community, and the lessons from the elders that spoke of resilience. They pictured the faces of everyone who had supported them, the collective breath of their town, the warmth of belonging that had once seemed so fragile. The air shifted, vibrating with energy. Jamie felt a surge, a pulse rising from the center of the circle, wrapping around each of them like a protective embrace. Ethan and Lila smiled, their confidence bolstering Jamie's resolve. Suddenly, a soft growl echoed from the shadows, reminder that the darkness was still there, watching, waiting. But this time, Jamie felt something different, a powerful, fierce determination that drowned out the fear. It was empowerment, a realization that the community was not just about joy and laughter, but also about vulnerability and shared burdens. Step into the light, Jamie urged, their voice rising above the distant threats. We are not alone. As the group focused on the glowing barrier, feelings of pain, loss, and uncertainty transformed into strength and understanding. The light enveloped them, pushing back the shadows that dared to creep closer. With a brilliant flash, the barrier sparkled brightly, radiating warmth and a reassuring hum that flooded the clearing. The growls quieted, replaced by a deep, soothing resonance that filled the forest with a sense of peace. Jamie felt tears prick at their eyes as they watched the darkness recede. It was more than just a fight against fear, it was a celebration of everything they had overcome. Every struggle, every tear, every laugh, they all mattered. They were all a part of the journey. When the glow finally dimmed, they opened their eyes to see their beloved forest once more, to see the two familiar faces smiling back. You did it, Lila breathed, belief shimmering in her eyes. Together, Jamie echoed, a wave of gratitude sweeping over everyone in the circle. As they stood together, united in purpose, Jamie glanced back toward the festival. The lights twinkled, and laughter floated gently through the trees. It was a reminder of home, their shared connection stronger than fear. Let us go back, Jamie said, their voice filled with conviction. Together, with all of it, our joys, our struggles, our community. Ethan and Lila nodded, their expressions tinged with hope. As they turned, Jamie felt a sense of belonging anchor in their chest. They walked hand in hand, the darkness behind them and the promise of home ahead. The festival awaited them, a brighter, more vibrant version of what they had once feared. This was the moment not just for celebration, but also for healing and unity, a gathering under the stars that resonated with new understanding. They had transformed the shadows into strength, and in that, they discovered what true community meant. As they emerged from the trees, arms linked and hearts open, Jamie knew this was only the beginning. It was a new chapter, a transformative journey into the light. Together, they would face anything that came their way, and that was the magic of belonging. Now, let us carry this feeling with us. You need to subscribe now to ensure you're part of the next chapter in our journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Let us create a brighter future together.